The other day, I was scrolling through YouTube watching some cooking videos when an interesting pharma ad popped up. It walked through the seconds in your life that matter the most. The big ones, like your wedding and the birth of your children, and the small ones, like little league games and family movie nights. It was an interesting idea that I can assume was storyboarded really well. But by the time it was aired, it was so watered down that it almost didn't make sense. I sort of looked at my husband and some friends that were here, and I was like, did that make sense? It didn't really make sense. And I get it. I do. We do a lot of work in regulated industries. So I understand how a phenomenally effective idea can turn into something that is just okay and almost makes the ad agency look like they don't know what they're doing. They do know what they're doing. I promise they know what they're doing. When you compare that to the Lippincott CMO Outlook 2026 study, which shows that only 28% of CMOs describe their organizational influence as very high, you have to wonder what the heck is going on inside most organizations. Cue the hand wringing, cue the LinkedIn posts about earning your seat at the table, cue the pearl clutching. But I don't think the influence conversation is the right one to be having. Sure, yes, we absolutely need to figure that out. We do have to figure out how to earn a seat at the table. But I think if we explore the organizational charts we function within and how they affect what the public eventually sees, we'll be able to solve the influence problem. We'll be able to earn the seat at the table. And that, my friends, is exactly what we shall discuss on this week's FinSucks podcast.
If you're a communications pro who works hard, doesn't compromise quality, and gets the job done, welcome home. We'll share our tips, tricks, and stories, and together we will change the face of PR. Spin sucks, but we don't. With the Spin Sucks podcast, here's Gini Dietrich.
Welcome back to the Spin Sucks podcast. I'm Gini Dietrich. Before we get started, I have a little tidbit for you. Did you know that if you can't finish watching right now, you can subscribe to the audio version of this show? We're on all the platforms where you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Apple, or you can subscribe to our newsletter at spinsucks.com and get it, plus a special little copy content surprise from me every week, every Tuesday morning, directly from me. I write them myself. You'll get it from me, spinsucks.com. Go past the 28% don't have influence number, and the same study gets much more interesting and, to be fair, much more damning. 84% of marketing leaders say aligning leadership around a shared marketing vision is difficult. Nearly 80% say bureaucracy regularly interferes with decision-making. No surprise there. Only 44% say marketing operates with a high degree of autonomy, less than half. And 15% of chief marketing officers say they aren't even the most senior marketing decision maker in their own organization. That one completely blows my mind. I just want you to sit with that for a second. 15% of chief marketing officers report to someone else on marketing decisions. Probably not somebody who has marketing experience. No wonder it's so challenging for them to keep their jobs more than a couple of years. This is not okay. This is something we need to fix. When I spoke about this data a few weeks ago, I argued that CMOs don't have an influence problem. They have an operating system problem, and that has not changed. This episode picks up where that one left off because there's a second order effect nobody is connecting. Bureaucracy isn't just annoying. It's not just a morale issue or a culture line item in your engagement survey. It's a brand erosion mechanism. Here's the chain of causation. And I want you to check it against your own organization as you listen. Every approval layer adds time. Time kills relevance. The cultural moment your team spotted on Monday is a punchline by the time the third stakeholder weighs in on Thursday. So you stop trying to catch moments at all, and your content calendar quietly becomes a museum of safe, evergreen topics. Been there, done that, totally get it. Meanwhile, every reviewer edits toward their own comfort. Legal removes the claim. The product lead adds 3 qualifiers. Someone's boss's boss softens the headline. None of them is wrong. But each pass sands off a little more of what makes the thing worth publishing, and what shifts at the end is beige. It's ugly, it's technically accurate, and it's strategically pointless. You do that for a year, and your brand voice converges with every competitor who runs the same gauntlet. You do it for 3 years, and you've trained your audience, and as we'll get to, the AI models reading your website, that you have nothing distinctive to say, that you have no competitive advantage, that you aren't different in a sea of sameness. Bureaucracy does not kill brands loudly, it sands them down slowly over time. And of course, your strategy deck never sees any of this. The positioning in your strategy deck is sharp. The messaging architecture is lovely, but strategy decks don't build brands. What actually gets published and shipped does, right? So your org chart, not your strategy, decides what ships. Your operating model is your brand strategy. Now, before every marketer inside a regulated industry stops listening, I see you. I understand you. If you work in pharma, medical legal review is not going anywhere. If you're in financial services, neither are FINRA and the SEC. That review gate isn't bureaucracy. It's your license to operate. Anyone who tells you that marketing can redesign its way past regulatory review has never sat through an MLR meeting, and you're right not to trust that person. So, let's draw the distinction between compliance bureaucracy and self-inflicted bureaucracy. Compliance bureaucracy is externally imposed, legally required, and non-negotiable. Self-inflicted bureaucracy, on the other hand, is everything else. It's the courtesy reviews, the 7-person lines that are CC'd, copied on things, the approval steps that exist because of a mistake someone made in 2019, the let's just run it by culture that treats every LinkedIn post like a news release announcing a merger. It's not. It doesn't have to be that way. You cannot fix the first kind. The regulatory piece of it cannot be fixed. But most organizations have far more of the self-inflicted bureaucracy than they will ever admit, and they launder all of it through the regulatory piece, the compliance piece that they think is necessary. Compliance is the excuse. It's rarely the actual problem. I have watched teams blame legal for a 2-week turnaround when legal's actual review took 2 days. The other 12 days in that, self-inflicted. We don't have to do this. The org chart did that, not the regulators. You might be here if you don't know if you have a compliance bureaucracy or self-inflicted bureaucracy. You might be here if every piece of content goes through the same approval path, whether it's a tweet or a crisis statement. Not necessary. 3 different teams own content, and no one can tell you who approves a LinkedIn post in under 30 seconds. Your best writing goes into review sounding like you, only to come out sounding like a terms of service update. Social takes 4 days to approve, which means you've effectively decided not to do social media. You just haven't said that part out loud yet. Or you blame legal for delays that legal doesn't actually cause. The fix doesn't require a reorganization, which is good because the reorg is not coming, at least not on your timeline and not the way you would design it. And if it does come, it will produce a new org chart with the same disease. The redesign isn't structural, it's about decision rights. So here is where I would start. Tie your approvals to actual risk. One gate for everything is the original sin. A regulated product claim and a community post should not share an approval path. So you want to build 3 tiers: pre-approved, which ships immediately within guardrails; light review, 1 named approver with a 24-hour timeline clock turnaround time; and full review, where that has to go through legal compliance and can't include any shortcuts. Most teams discover 70% of what they make belongs in the first 2 tiers, and that everything was running through the third. Not everything needs full review. Not everything needs to go through legal and compliance. You do not need to run everything through a full review. Then you should name 1 owner per channel, not a committee, not a working group, 1 human with the authority to say, ship it. If you can't name that person for each channel right now, you have found your bottleneck, and I'll bet it is not legal. It might be a cultural thing, which takes longer to change, but you can baby step your way into it. You want to build guardrails, not gates. So pre-approve the system rather than the artifacts. Messaging architecture, claims language, voice standards, and the list of things we never say. We never say this, we never say that. You can have a list of those things pre-approved, right? Once those guardrails are approved, your team can move within them without asking for permission every time. Approval shifts from, is this piece okay, to, is this piece inside the lines? A question your team can answer themselves. Now, for everyone who lives with MLR or FINRA review, this is something we do with those clients that will likely work for you too. Instead of submitting content one piece at a time, starting the review clock over and over and over again, which nobody likes, you don't like, legal doesn't like it, nobody likes it. You want to create or batch a quarter's worth of content into a pod and run it through a review once. So you have themes, claims, core copy blocks. It might not be the final copy, but core copy blocks, visuals, everything, right? What comes out the other side is a pre-approved library your team can ship from in the moment all quarter long. You might swap in and out some of the pre-approved artifacts that you already have, but it allows you to stay timely and on top of things. Your reviewers will thank you, by the way. One structured review session beats 47 random submissions in their inbox every time. And trust me, they hate the current system as much as you do. And if you follow the new PESO model certification curriculum, this is built in. This is what we teach. It walks you through running the pre-approval process once a quarter. So compliance becomes a scheduled event on your calendar instead of a daily gate in front of everything that you make. Now, decision rights get granted to teams that speak the business's language. So when you can show what shipped on time content does to pipeline and cost to acquire, the numbers the C-suite actually runs the business on, the conversation about who needs to review what gets much shorter. One more reason this matters right now, and it's the one that connects to last week's episode about what AI is saying about your brand. Ask your AI tool of choice a question in any regulated category, pharma, banking, insurance, and watch who surfaces first. The biggest regulated brands show up again and again and again. Decades of news releases, earnings reports, and regulatory filings created a massive, structured, machine-readable public record. Every disclosure obligation produced another document with their name on it, formatted consistently, hosted on credible domains, and corroborated across media. The AI models love that. They eat it all. Those brands get cited by default off the exhaust of their compliance obligations. The rest of us don't get that for free. We have to engineer visibility on purpose, publishing consistently, building an owned media record worth citing, and earning the corroboration that makes the models trust us, which makes self-inflicted bureaucracy a double tax. The regulated giant's paperwork at least produces citations. Your approval theater produces nothing. It slows your publishing to a crawl, and it generates zero machine-readable exhaust. You get the giant's slowness without the giant's record. A brand that needs 6 sign-offs to publish does not get cited by the LLMs. It barely gets published. So no, this is not just about morale or speed for its own sake. Your organizational chart is now a discoverability decision. Every unnecessary gate that you have is a citation you didn't earn in the LLMs. That is what you'll fix. If you would like to learn more about how to change your internal review process so you can accomplish more, join us in the SpinSucks community. It's a great place to get advice, brainstorm ideas, and build real relationships with your peers. You can find us at spinsucks.com/community. That's spinsucks.com/community. And make sure you follow us on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram. We're posting tips, how-tos, cheat sheets, and more every week. I'll see you next week. Bye.